Ladies and gentlemen, I hope everybody is doing well. Welcome to this week's episode of Top Knockouts. Now, if you are new to this series, what I do is prior to every UFC event, whether it is a pay-per-view event, whether it is a fight night event, I look at all of the fighters that are participating on the main card of that event. And I look at their best knockout win. And then basically I just rank the best of the best. They only get one knockout, which will be their best knockout. Now, in saying that, do not think we will ever have a list where every single fighter on the main card will be eligible to make that list. Now, what does eligibility entail? So, three things, fairly simple. Number one, you have to be on the main card. That's easy enough. Number two, you have to have a knockout win. Easier said than done. And number three, it has to be inside of the UFC. So outside of the organization doesn't count. Dana White's Contender Series doesn't count. The Ultimate Fighter doesn't count. Unless it is the finale, because the finale of the Ultimate Fighter is on an official UFC card, which makes it an official UFC list. And in saying that, congratulations Myron Santos. Buddy,
you just made the list!
Now before I start with the list, just one last friendly reminder. If you enjoy the video, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, the notification bell. I would really appreciate it, and it goes a long way in helping with the growth of this channel. So starting off this week's list, at number 5, Julian Erosa versus Nate Landwehr. Now Julian Erosa had a horrible start to his UFC career. In 2015 ended up winning the finale of the Ultimate Fighter, Faber vs McGregor, received a UFC contract only to go on and lose in his UFC debut. He then left the organization, went to smaller organizations like King of the Cage, and he returned in 2018 on Dana White's Contender Series. Ended up winning on Dana White's Contender Series, thus warranting him a UFC contract, starting his second stint within the UFC, where he went on to lose his first 3 fights once again. So prior to fighting Sean Woodson in 2020, Julian Erosa's UFC record was 0 wins, 4 losses. Abysmal. But then Julian started turning things around. He played the Uno reverse card, ended up beating Sean Woodson, and got scheduled to fight Nate Landwehr on the 20th of February 2021 in a fight that lasted a minute. Not even. Officially 58 seconds within the very first minute of the first round. It was insane. 2 men throwing like 2 lunatics, fighting over sanity. Zero defense was seen, like the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Like a Rocky movie, just fists flying everywhere. Both men hurt one another. Both men dropped one another. And after Julian Erosa starched Nate Landwehr, Nate was backpedaling. And Julian saw his moment to land a beautiful flying knee, turned Nate Landwehr into Nate Land there. Nate fell on his backside. Julian proceeded to land a couple of follow-up shots. The referee stopped it. Was a little bit controversial because Nate didn't feel like he was knocked out. It was beautiful nonetheless. Julian Erosa, the return of the century, from 0-4 to 2-4 with a beautiful knockout win over Nate Landwehr, a beautiful flying knee, follow-up shots, everything you could ask for, an insane fight. Go and watch that fight. It would take a minute out of your life, and it would be one of the best minutes of your life. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just an insane performance. Julian Erosa versus Nate Landwehr, number 5 on this list. At number 4, here we go, Myron Santos versus Ofli. Speaking of the Ultimate Fighter finale, Myron Santos versus Ofli on the 24th of August 2024. And in the first round, it looked like Myron was on a different level, with harder shots, devastating leg kicks. It looked like Myron Santos winning was a matter of when rather than if. And in the second round, it manifested.
I manifested this. I manifested life.
Because in the second minute of the second round, Khan moved forward, throwing. Myron Santos was backpedaling, but off his back foot threw a right hook which missed, followed up by a left hook which landed perfectly. rang Khan's bell, sent him to church because Khan collapsed went on his knees, looked like somebody that was devastated. Myron proceeded to land a couple of follow-up shots. Now hopefully that part, doesn't happen in your church. And then the ref pulled him off. An insane performance by Myron Santos, warranting him a UFC contract. Myron could have landed that left hook, turned around, and walked off. But he proceeded to land the follow-up shots, and the referee saw enough. An insane performance, an insane knockout, absolutely beautiful. Myron Santos, welcome to the UFC. Then at number 3, Nursulton Ruziboev versus Bruno Ferreira. Now Nursulton Ruziboev made his debut on the 1st of July 2023 against Bruno Ferreira, the same Bruno Ferreira who knocked out Gregory Rodriguez. And in the second minute of this fight, the second minute of the very first round, Nursulton Ruziboev ended up catching one of Bruno Ferreira's leg kicks. Yes, you heard that correctly, he caught a leg kick and then followed it up with a straight right, which had Bruno Ferreira backwards like it was a blast wave in a movie. Like that right cross had anesthetics in it, knocked Bruno Ferreira out, and then proceeded to do surgery on him. Surgery which involved removing Bruno's soul, knocking him out indefinitely with the follow-up shots from Nursulton Ruziboev. Absolutely devastating. The timing to catch the kick, the devastation to land that right, and then proceeding, because you can never be too safe in these streets, proceeded to absolutely blast Bruno Ferreira's corpse. It was brutal, it was devastating, definitely worthy of being on this list. And then afterwards, proceeded to knock out every single opponent he's faced in middleweight. So Dustin Stoltzfus, good luck buddy, you have this belt. But speaking of, at number 2 on this list, Dustin Stoltzfus versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Now before I get into this, just a shout out to Marc-Andre Barriault and Neil Magny for that matter. Listen, both men have been on the receiving end of some devastating knockouts, and luckily this past weekend we saw Marc-Andre Barriault be on the right side of one of these for a change, because he knocked out Bruno Silva in devastating fashion. So if Marc-Andre Barriault is featured on a main card somewhere in the near future, he will definitely be in this video for the right reasons. Unfortunately for him, in this video he is not the one throwing the ball, he is the one catching it. And the ball's a metaphor for hands.
That is a metaphor, I totally got him.
So Dustin Stoltzfus' record within the UFC is 3 wins, 5 losses. Not the best record you could ask for. It feels like he has a personal competition with Julian Marquez to see who can have the worst record in the middleweight division but not get cut just due to the fact that their fights are pure entertainment. So Dustin Stoltzfus, prior to fighting Marc-Andre Barriault, had a record of 2 wins, 5 losses, and in his last fight on the 2nd of November 2024 he fought Marc-Andre Barriault. And in the last minute of the very first round, after a clinch exchange, both men stood in the pocket and just started throwing. And you knew, you had that feeling, listen, somebody's gonna get sent. And unfortunately for Marc-Andre, he was the one that got sent. Got knocked out by a devastating right hook from Dustin, knocked him out clean. Dustin wasn't sure, he made sure. Followed up with a forearm to the neck, and Marc-Andre Barriault was knocked out cold. Stiff. Yeah, stiff as a stick. I don't know. I don't have good comparisons for stiff. Yeah, listen. So, an insane knockout for Dustin Stoltzfus. An impressive knockout in the pocket, standing, biting down on your mouthpiece and just throwing. Ended up catching him with the right hook, knocked him out. Listen, no follow-up shots was necessary, but Dustin made sure. Dustin made sure that he won this fight. A beautiful right hook, a beautiful knockout, devastating nonetheless. It's at number 2 on this list. Then at number 1, Gilbert Burns versus Jason Saggo. Now Gilbert Burns started his UFC career 3-0. But then after that, went back and forth because he ended up losing the fight after the 3-fight winning streak. Then he won after losing, then he lost after winning. But then he proceeded to go on a 2-fight devastating knockout streak. And the first one That's today's victim. Jason Saggo, Gilbert Burns versus Jason Saggo on the 16th of September 2017. And literally in the last seconds of the second round, Gilbert Burns landed a sledgehammer on Jason's head, knocked him out clean, no follow-up shots was needed. Gilbert Burns walk-off KO, immediately turned around, ran to his corner, sat on the fence, celebrated. An absolutely pinpoint overhand right which he was looking for the entire fight. Eventually he found it, Jason's head found it, and Jason was knocked out cold. A brutal one punch KO from Gilbert Burns, which I definitely think warrants being number one on this list. Now that is all for this week's list of top knockouts. Let me know in the comment section, do you agree with the order? Is there maybe a knockout that I'm missing out on? I would really appreciate it. Have a beautiful day, and I'll catch you in the next one.